Now, there are plenty of things you might be interested in doing, but there is something that hurts you. Okay? Well, the third one, distinction, right? So, desire. Design had to do with your natural design. You naturally walk and dance. You can't sit still. So, you know you're a dancer. You're naturally designed. You can't help get up in the morning and dancing, right? Right. So natural design. You can't help hugging the little children and playing with them and giving them little jokes. You can't help it. It's just in you. You can't help getting away and spending time with the children or whatever it is. Or you can't help going and line with the boys and sitting down and, hey, but you know, we could do so and so. Sitting down and planning with fellas, you know that, hey, there is something there. You can't help playing the music. Right? That's something, that's a problem my family have. We can't help but beating the table or the chair or whatever, right? I have the problem, my wife have the problem, my son have the problem too. Yeah. The first drum set we owned actually was hers. Yeah, well, she's master on all kind of stuff. She plays pan, bass, keyboard, I don't miss anything. Drums. I think that's about it. I think guitar. I don't think she have reached with instrument as yet, right? Yes, right. But my son he has his own drum set, right? So the family side, we have a bass, we have guitar. I think we craving to go and get a pan, but the idea is it's natural in them. It's something that you can't help, but you just discover. Right? You can't help liming with couples and putting people together and matching them and all kind of stuff and teasing them and say, hey, look, yeah, see, getting a sweet. You know, you can't help. You know that, hey, you have to do something related to marriage. Them kind of stuff. You get that kind of thing. Because you're always interested, you're always involved, you're always bothering people. You know? Look at those things, those tendencies. That's your design. It's natural for you. Right? It's natural. It's not finicky. It's not in the air, you know? It's part of you. You can't help when people are in debt and broke and can't see their way and all kind of stuff. You just, come on, let me help you, man. You can get over this. You just have to, you just can't sleep because you need to get this man or this lady over this hurdle of this financial problem. You can't help it. It's part of you. Now, one of the challenge with this is that we have been taught that when we focus on something, apart from sitting down and spending time reading the word, that we might be committing idolatry. We are taught that, not in those direct words, but underneath it, that if you're not spending time reading the word and praying, we are doing other things and we are committing idolatry. That is a religious statement. It's a religious point of view. What you need to do is to be able to see that God has designed you for this. This is His thing you're doing. This is His design. We have to get a perspective. That's His design. All right? Distinction. Distinction is what do people call you specifically for? What specific area about this thing that people always bothering you to get help from because you have done it in the past, you've done it so excellent, people always running you down for it. The way you do it, they want that. That's distinct. So you're not competing with another person who is an audiovisual technician because the way you do audiovisual is a little different. There's a particular thing that you do in AV, right? I remember when we went to Infocom to do AV conference in Las Vegas. We had to choose which meetings to which presentations to attend, and I was in problems because everything looked good, and a guy who went before me. He had to sit me down and say, Kevin, okay, what is it you're supposed to be doing for the faculty? What is it you're supposed to be doing? Good. So I explained to him what I do. Good. So because of that, this is where you need to choose. I need to choose certain things. I can't choose everything. I need to focus on a particular area. So that when I come back now, I had to prepare training for staff. Now, if he didn't do that with me, I couldn't prepare the training properly. He had to sit me down and carry me through it. So I can know specifically, okay, this is your area here you have to master. I have to go through the training here, get this material good. But we had some sessions together and some sessions he had to do separately, right? But the idea was somebody sometimes have to show you where you are distinct. Okay, so distinction is important in the areas. Okay, so go through, survey your life, survey what you have been through, you're experienced. What has people called you back second, third time for? What have they been bothering you about? If not, what specific area do you want to focus on in the area? Write that down. What specific area under relationships or under health or under whatever it is, what specific area do I want to master? Do I really see myself expanding? Right? Question?
The T-Fed with that is that you said that people will continually calling you back for drumming, right? In terms of drumming. So if it is persons calling me back for something that, and not thinking, well, that is what I'm supposed to be doing, what to do.
Very good. That's where you go to the third stage. Right. Right. So as we are going through the preliminary stages, which includes choosing the area, the second stage now includes refining the different things that you are gifted in, because you might be more than one. People are calling you back for several things. You might be gifted in several areas. But in these areas, there is where you need to go to the third stage now. You need to understand on the third stage, and we'll deal, as I said, we'll deal with it more in pursuing the kingdom. You have to understand there's a primary gift, it could be have a secondary gift, and some people have a tertiary gift. Some people, not everybody. Okay? So yes, people call me for technology work, to repair computers. Yes, people call me to do drumming. But also people call me to do training using the modern things that we have to actually inspire purpose. Modern technology systems, modern systems that we have, business systems, training systems. People call me a lot for that. What I had to do was to find out, how do you know it's a primary gift? And that comes from, the leverage time again. You have to ask the question. If you had all the resources, and you have to choose from one, but that comes from time spent. Time spent. You have to choose one. Whole week, you can do whatever you want in this one area. You have all the resources available to you. You can't do all three. You are not allowed to. You have to choose one. Which one will you choose? That comes from time spent. And I had to choose one. I had to choose one. I had to find one that's passionate. That is the one you know you do when, for example, I see some people go to bed 10 and 11 and stuff. In my house, that's not possible. That's not possible. I just put my son to sleep. Because we are so focused on the purpose of what we're doing, we forget sleep. Sleep becomes the enemy. That's how you know it's a purpose. That's how you know that is a primary. Because sleep becomes the enemy. You want to get up and walk around and find, hey, how to get this done? That's how you know the difference. But that takes work. You have to go through the process of discovering that. Okay? Jesus, Luke 2:49. Luke 2:49. There's a nice story there, 49 to 50. I think it's 51. Before 52. Luke 2:52 is what you all normally know. But there's something I want to show you before the scripture says he went home and was subject to his parents, and he grew in stature and in wisdom and in fear with God and man. There was something that happened before. That helps. There are two people being astonished there, or amazed. There are two sets of amazement going on. Remember that? Who the first was amazed? Well, right. The teachers. So three sets of people. The teachers were first amazed. Who's the second people? Mom was amazed. Like, how in the world you could do this to us? And then who was amazed again? The other person was amazed. Who is the other person? Don't you know? Who was amazed? Jesus was amazed. Jesus was like, how you could ask something like that? But don't you know it's supposed to be about? What do you expect? So there are three sets of amazement going on there. Don't you know I'm supposed to be my father business? But how you could be looking for me like that? You're supposed to know this. All three amazed, right? It helps with that because there is something that you do and you forget about everything. That is why you need the other persons among, as I said, you need the connections. Remember I was talking about that? You staff the other areas. So you have accountability. Okay? So that's how you know. That's how you, even if people calling you, there's a process you have to go through to find the one area that you have to focus on as primary. And then, of course, know when some things are secondary and then tertiary. And then you could staff those also. Staff means you know people who are, that area is their primary gift. That's their purpose. I can refer them. I can refer people to them. Right? So I have to do a lot of that, referring, because I can't do that right now. And then you have stages you have to go through. Because you might start with the tertiary, you might start with the primary, you might start with anywhere. But through the process, you get to know the distinctions. You get to know the difference. Because the idea is, if you can master your area, the people who you serve yourself to, they learn from a master. And what happens is that they become masters themselves. Because you're giving your best. Nothing less. And therefore there's no stress. Alright? That's blessed, right? Very good. All right. Question?
Yeah. The way we grew up, I want to say, the Caribbean, or probably most of us, we probably didn't get the direction from a younger age, right? And we grew up in a society where, you see certain things and professions and you say probably you like that, or you go into a profession that you know that you just went into it because you probably see it, observe it, but it may not be your calling or the gift that is within you, because as I say, from small growing up, you had no one to point you into that direction, right? How would someone know that I'm in something that is not really my calling or my purpose?
You just want to know how you will know it's not, or you also want to know how to move from there? Very good. Okay. And that is one of the questions I asked God when I start learning from these mentors, and I start asking them, so what about the people who have gone and done all these things work before? There are several views on that. One is the idea that you have gained some experience about something. That's good. That's something to be cherished. It's something valuable. You have gained experience, you have learned some things. Now, when it comes to when you discover what you're supposed to be doing and you're at a particular stage of your life in terms of physical life, because, sometimes you discover that and it's late in the sense of you actually doing the activity. What God have to help you to do is jump from stage 1 to stage 4. Remember I mentioned 3 stages. The 4th stage is where you start becoming a mentor or coach or a guide. So it means, because what in your purpose, when you discover, one of the things you have to start looking for is people to mentor, to carry on a vision that you have. Because even as you discover this thing, there is something that you have to create to materialize it in the earth. Whether it's a company or an arm in the organization that you're working with, there's something you have to develop in that area. One of the things you have to learn to do is be able to pass it on. Right? to move, to pass on the baton. So that's sometimes you have to be able to jump to that stage, and that's a different level of training. There's a book by Dr. Miles called Passing It On, which is really on mentoring, helps with that. How to pass on what you've discovered you're supposed to be doing, because there are people who are supposed to be doing it also at this other stage and at another level, but there are some groundwork that they need. So there are two ways to apply that. One is praying about the area, the need and the desire and the issue surrounding that particular area, whether it's coaching, whether it's getting people lined up in a particular area, whether it's bringing a particular gift in this industry that hasn't been recognized, praying as to where can I leave this, who can I pass this on to, and go to line up with people. Secondly, if you have the Caleb spirit, as I told a senior group, I said, there is another group who have the Caleb spirit. You know what I mean by the Caleb spirit? At 80, you say, hey, what thing? I go in for that. I am going after that mountain. Those people now, they can still go and get it done, and in the getting it done, they have youths or other people working along with them. That can be done also. Not everybody's up to that. That's okay. You might just want to be able to pass on what you have inside because you have discovered this thing that was there all the time, and then God start exploding your mind with stuff that you didn't realize was there. And you have to start documenting and start getting it down and then passing it on to someone who is trying to go in the area, but they need this book, this particular gift to help. Sometimes you need that. But if you have the Caleb spirit now, we can actually train you how to still get it done. It means you somehow define the laws of physical deterioration.
Just observation too, not sure if I'm 100% right here, but I've noticed in my own life that maybe you start off doing one job or in one particular field, and you end up in a next field, but the field that you was in before is not like a total loss or waste of time. You're able to use that experience even in the field that you are, or to help in some other way, because I studied accounting, right? And we then realized that that is not what I wanted. And I was working for a while as an accounts clerk. Then I was in shipping. And what I actually do now is coordination. And because of my experience in those areas, I'm able to understand the other departments and properly coordinate. So sometimes you're able to use, or I could even go so far as to say sometimes God allows this to happen for it to work out for your good, you know. This is just observation. I'm not sure if I'm 100% correct on this, but I've noticed it with me, that because I do coordination now, and what I do have nothing to do with accounts or shipping, but they coordinate with each department. I am able to be successful in doing it because of the experience and knowledge and understanding I have of the other fields.
Now you are talking about that in relation to your career, right? How does that line up with your gift? Right, good. So the idea is the principle she's using is correct. So what she's now have to do is apply that principle now to her gift now. So that's good. Take that now, because your career not necessarily be a gift. So that's why you have the Holy Spirit skill. We talk about skill and gift, which could be two different things. Now, the idea is that what you do with the gift when you discover it is to approach anybody who is a leader in your area. Whether it's a leader in where you're employed, a leader in an organization or church or whatever it is, and let them know. Get some backing. This is what I think I really, really, really love to do. This is something that's been bothering me. But I haven't been able to talk about it. I haven't embraced it. But now I realize that I need to embrace it. Because you were taught to ignore it. You were taught to just focus on what you're doing. But I realized that this thing has been bothering me for so long. I have decided I want to embrace this. I want to go further into this. I want to find out how to be the best in this. I have all these ideas. But I never thought of how valuable it was to embrace it and go further into it. And from there There is where you take now the stages, the 1 and the 2 and so forth.
Kevin, how does stuff like personal prophecy, so nobody prophesies to you in a particular area or etc., fit into what you're talking about there?
Okay, let's go back to Jesus. Did anybody prophesy about Jesus? Did anybody prophesy after Jesus reached at the temple when he went in? What were they doing? They were what? Confirming something. So we have to be careful with that. And be careful. Jesus still have to go and get the work done. But what they were doing was confirming in the ears of the people. This is what this person would be doing. No, he didn't hear what the prophecy was, right? but the idea was eventually, growing up, know the prophecies. So look at it in the context of what the prophecy is supposed to do. One of the other things we have to be careful about is that we need a prophecy if we are not listening. Understand what I'm saying? If you're not listening, yeah, you need one. Because it means you're not listening. God is talking to you and you're not listening. You need to get prophecy, definitely. Right? But you need to be listening. You need to be listening. You need to be finding out. You need to be questioning. And the confirmations come both by prophecy, but most importantly, you need to have the witness of your spirit. Most important.
I don't know if because of my frequent absence I'm in a little trouble. But something you said earlier on seemed to be suggesting that there's a separation between your gift and your career or your skill. So that I thought we were looking at heaven and earth or the kingdom from the perspective that it really transcends and affects your entire life. But I don't know if I'm hearing that we're separating this thing and putting one over there and the next on the next side.
Okay. Right, so let me get this clear. We want to make sure that we put career and gift in the proper context. Remember what I said? We said, can't remember when we said it, is that a lot of us were taught to go to school and get a job. Okay? So we can get a proper salary to pay some bills. That is where we formed our career, most of us. Most of us formed our career out of us. Remember I told you what to do with the youths? Get them to start writing down what they see themselves doing and start praying about it. Getting them from young to start discovering their purpose, their gift. What is it God has given them? We were never taught to do that. So what is happening is that there are people who have careers which could be their gift. It could be in line with their purpose. But the idea is not to focus on the career, find the gift. If it lines up with the career, good. I'm in the right place. Now, what specifically do I need to bring from heaven in this area? So that's where the difference is. I want to make sure I get that clear. We need to find out now, what is it that God had in his mind about me doing this particular thing? What unique, tailored, specific technique or impact do I need to create in this area? Whether it's sports, whether it's mentorship, whether it's construction that I'm doing, there is some design God has for me to do, some idea that God has for me to do that I need to impact this sector with. And I need to become the master of this particular gift or the master in this particular area. So it means that if I'm dealing with children and I'm bringing God's ideas in my specific gift, but I'm also teaching in a school already, what will happen is that you will realize there is something unique that you have to bring. God will start giving you ideas related to a specific trend that is taking place that you need to eradicate. So the trend could be a lot of the children who are coming to schools are getting pregnant early. Something is wrong here. Or a lot of the children who are coming to school, they always end up doing being corrupt. Intelligent, but corrupt. Something is wrong with this. So there's something specific you might have to do. That might be the burden. But whatever it is, you have to get his ideas now, his perspective on it. That is why you're spending time. That's why you're bothering to find out this thing is not right. This needs to be dealt with. But this is what needs to be done. So you're bothering God about what you're feeling, what you're seeing, what's happening. But you're in school, you're teaching. So it might definitely be you have to teach something specific. Or you have to maybe train yourself, go through whatever training that needs to be done, so that you could open a school that focuses on a specific aspect of teaching. It could be teaching teachers to pinpoint something or to get access. Or it could be teaching students homework, but in the homework center that you're opening up, have to do something with eradicating that issue. It might mean you might have to go into education to train to eradicate this particular issue, whatever the area is. So the career is not your view. The career is just part. Your focus is on, I need to get this solution that God has given me on the to eradicate that mess. So that's where it fits in. Right? So the idea is not to separate the career in terms of it's totally different, but to understand that a career may not necessarily be your gift. But put it in its context. It's might be part of the gift. Now, what happens though is that because if you look at our schedule, most of our hours are spent where? In our career. So when you find your gift, where do you think most of your hours will be? In the gift. That's the difference. But people look at it as, oh, you are this, but really you are more than just this name that they call. Whether it's a contractor, you're more than just a contractor. You are a contractor. That's not something specific. Right? So they will look at it as a career, because that's what's normally taught. But because you are developing something specific, you might need to even form a new company to do it. And that's where your hours are spent. So your prayer sessions or your time with God is surrounding eradicating this thing you're trying to deal with. Bad housing structure, whatever it is. Bad wall design, earthquake residence, earthquake-proof residence, whatever it is. The idea is that your prayer is surrounding this thing that you're supposed to deal with, because you can't stand it anymore. Right? I'm trying to make sure that's clear.
So then, similar to what you were talking about before in terms of stuff that you would have done before. For instance, if it is a particular, what you know you were born to do or whatever the case is, but then let's say you're involved in business. So that is no problem for you to be creating businesses to be able to fund, or just wondering in terms of the time. You're saying in terms of spending time, being able to spend the amount of time needed to be able to do your purpose, right? But you need the finances. But let's say God gave you an idea or something like that to be able to create the finances with a particular business or a particular something. But that means you'll also have to spend a certain amount of time to ensure that it's successful, to be able to get the finances to do this.
Okay, I think you're talking about how now. The how you have to live up to God. The how He will give you the ideas, yes. I can't answer the question with the how. In the rules, what stages He will take you through. God could send somebody with the money. God could tell you, I need you to start here by opening this business. He could give you the impetus for it, the opening for it. All of that, the ideas could be flowing for that. And that's be one stage to go to the next stage. The how is varied. So the focus is not on the how. The focus is not even on the how I'm going to pay for it. The focus is being clear as to what the vision is supposed to be. So that, and of course, the aspects of the vision to know that this is God's idea here. And this particular ailment that we have will be eradicated, will be dealt with because of the vision or the idea God has given me. It will be dealt with. I will deal with it. I will make sure that it is done. So the focus is on making sure that that's clear. And the how, when you get the hows from Him, it's just a matter of flowing with it. That's why listening is so important. Right? So it could be varied. Don't focus on the how too much. Question?
In the explanation just now, you highlighted was that the gift, is it your calling?
Your gift calling is the same. Well, the trainers who train me that way, showing me that your gift is really a calling, which is really the same thing as your why or your purpose. It's really the same. When you say those who are predestined have been called, have been justified, it's the same idea. It's the same principle. This deals with salvation, but the idea is the same. It has been, if you look at Ephesians 2:10, Ephesians 3:10, God's workmanship created in him to do what? Good works. That is already predestined. That was already prepared. So you're not asking God for something new. It's something that he designed already. That's already built in. It's in the inside. So yes, it's your calling. If I want to give it a short answer. But I want to be careful, it's also your purpose is your calling.
The concept which I thought was thinking of is that the gift is what God created you to be. And he gives you the gifts inside of you, whether you like art, music, certain gifts that are significant to you. As you grow up, you may be inclined to certain gifts or not or whatever, but there's a calling now for the gifts to be activated.
Okay. No, that's not so much the concept. You're born with it. Okay, now let's separate. Now what we need to separate though is gift and talent, as we said before. Talent is what? Equipment. I have equipment. I have a particular way in which I run. I have the way my muscles are designed. God gave me those talents. A natural thing that I do. I don't have to force it. When you get up in the morning, you naturally sing. If you give me a pen and paper, we draw, we color. It's natural to us. It's natural. You know, you want to do it all the time. You're always beating the table. It's a natural thing. So that talent is equipment. The gift is the effect you create on the people you're supposed to serve. In other words, you bring this to the table. That is when you know it's a gift. That is when it's equipment to serve the gift. It serves what you're providing. So most important thing is not so much that you are becoming something only, but you are becoming something to some group. So yes, because that's the real issue. That's the real purpose. The purpose is not just for you to be a good artist and sit down and just draw. That drawing have to impact God's children, God's creation. That is where the gift comes out. That is where the gift comes. That is when the real thing is. The real thing is service of it. You're called to do it, meaning you're already predestined to do it. It was already set in place. It's not so much. It's not like God saying, "Okay, now come and do this." It's not like that. Calling is just a phrase that means that it's something that you're built to do. You were designed to do it. You were set in place to do it.
When the calling is coming out, and in relation to your career, because as it was highlighted, saying is that you spend a lot. Everybody here must spend best time every day, the best quality time on their job, which is somewhat your career. Now, God knows you have these gifts, these callings, and it's coming out. But you have the best time now is allocated to seemingly the world. Now, how does that relate now towards God call?
No, well, it's not so much that it's designed to be to the world. It's just that you were trained to do it. That's how the system we're living in was designed to do that. Okay, when you discover a gift, you don't go to a job anymore. In other words, you don't say, "I'm going to my job," and then I come back home and I no longer a job. When you discover a gift, you think that, sleep that, eat that. You want to do it every time. When you're tired, you want to do. You can't escape it. That's why we say one of the things is desire, passion. That's where your gift is. It means you just schedule times when you will serve people in different aspects with it, because you're living in a 24-hour zone. Living in time. but you add a thing. So when they want joy in discipline, they have to call John. Because this is the guy who trains youths how to find joy even in discipline activities. He's that. So we try to get him disciplined, but we only bouncing our head against a wall. We need to call John. Because he brings this to the table. So his waking hours is just finding out ways and means. How do I bring more joy in this discipline activity? What kind of ideas can I come up with? He's just thinking this thing. Even when you miss him, that's all he's doing. That's what he's dealing with. He's researching, he's learning, he's going to more training programs. He's bothering God, he's praying about it, finding scripture verses. That's all he's doing. Because he's discovered this unique thing that he needs to focus on. That's all he's doing. So when it comes to put it now into what we will normally call a career, which is not really a career, what he will do is that he will go through the planning process now, which has to do with vision, mission, goals, objectives, plans, that sort of thing, and do actual like a business plan, or if he's working with an organization, then he will structure how it will be enrolled, what's the best way to do it, present it to the supervisors. He will go through the process. But he's thinking this thing all the time. You have gems inside there that hasn't been revealed yet, but his days and nights of doing it. When he comes home, he's that. When he goes to vacation, he's that person. It's just there. He can't let go of it. That's the idea. That's what the gift is. So the career is just what we do it in a schedule area. I want to make sure I get that clear. You take on work, but let's do it. Let's mash it up.
No, I think I'm clear in terms of what you're saying, but I'm trying to bring what you're saying into the world as it exists now. We know where we want to go, but we live within a world that exists now. So an individual grew up and is now in the career of a fireman, discovers his gift is not out in fires or taking people who are trapped in a car out. But that is how he puts food on the table for his family and pay the mortgage at the end of the month, etc. How do you work that? Because some people, or it may be a situation where people will not pay you for your gift yet. So how do you work that whole thing through?
That's the transition period, which we will do when we're dealing with how to pursue the kingdom. That's the transition period. But yes, there is a way to transition, to move to it. Right? There is a process here, definitely, and that is good. And also, let's take the fireman example. I like the example you give. In a fireman's job, there are several things that are happening. Rescuing is taking place. Relief is taking place. Life saving is taking place. Search and destroy or search and rescue is taking place. And we mentioned that already. Protecting property or preventing property from going down. I mean, a lot of those things, there are things inside there. And the person can discover there's a particular area here that engages me. And that could be it. It means that he needs to stay there, but he needs to now be reading more and studying more in that area. What happens eventually is that because he has done it at such excellence, after a while, they might have to call him to train people to do it. And they might have to call him in different countries to do it. Not only that, he might be able to open a separate entity that trains people how to do simple things in their basic life. I also, people like me, will come in and say, okay, here what's happening. I can take what you want to master and put it on the global network where people pay you for training them these little things that you're doing every week. Is that, you get that? So, not just going to the job becomes the entity of putting food on the table. The gift becomes the entity of putting food on the table. But at the transition period takes place. takes place. It gradually, and it happens. Right? So yes, yeah, I like your question. That is it. That is what we need to do.
For instance, the training, when we mention about the fireman, his skill is he being trained to do that. Is it that the gift as a Christian, that in itself is a gift? And although you have the training, knowing Christ and knowing the things of Christ, sharing it with those who also in the training as a fireman, could you say that in itself is a gift without identifying a specific gift? What I'm trying to say.
Okay. No. The question is no. The answer, sorry. The answer is no. Being a fireman is not a gift. It's the area of your gifting. The gift is the area that you want to specialize in the fire service area, in the whole prospect of it. In fact, when we were talking, God just reminded me of a discussion I had with a guy. He is in the area of paramedics. He's a paramedic. And so I was asking him, no, he's a believer, a brother in church. So I was asking him questions surrounding how he interacts with the people. Because in the call to rescue, you're dealing with saving lives. So I was asking him, he was talking about a lot of gruesome stuff he have seen and so on. So I started asking him, I said, well, how many people have you been able to prevent from going to their death? And he was saying, most of the time, all the time and so forth. And I was trying to, I find it, when I came to the conversation, he was actually liming, we were actually talking to some other brothers. So I sat up listening, And most of the stuff they were talking about were the death or the crisis or the people who didn't make it. And what I had to do, when they left and so forth, and of course, we started talking, I got in the conversation, my focus was on trying to find out what is he trying to master here? Seeing people die or saving their lives? I had to shift the conversation so that he get to focus on what he's supposed to focus on. You understand what I'm saying? So I started asking questions in line with what he really is supposed to focus on. What is it you really, get out of it? How do you feel when you have to rescue somebody and so forth? But because he never thought about it properly, he just said, well, yeah, it feels good, kind of thing. I said, just good. To get him to think about what is happening, he's actually preventing people from going to their death. He's saving lives. That is something to be excited about. But what I was trying to get to is how passionate he was in the benefits of what he's doing. So being a fireman, there are many benefits that you are bringing to people. Being a paramedic here, there are many benefits he's bringing to people. But is he focused on any of the benefits? And is it passionate to him? Does it bring joy for him to rescue someone, for him to do something? Is there something there? Now, if there's no real joy, and the reason for doing it is just to put food on the table, then it means he's in a career. He has been skilled to do a job. He hasn't discovered his gift. So he now have to go through the process of discovering what is it that he's really passionate about. That's the process. Right? I have two questions.
Well, I just want a little more clarification. Let us say we're dealing with a Christian, and you want to use the gifts as a non-Christian, and you want to use the gifts as a believer.
Okay, let me clarify something here. I want to put this, I'm glad that Pastor is here. Let me put this correctly. Everybody is born with a gift. Everybody. The scripture says that the gifts are given without what? God ain't changed his mind related to that. Everybody. Tooth bagay. Okay? So so I need you to think about your gift in terms of being a human being, not as a Christian. First, primary. I need you for you to think of the fact that there is a purpose for your life as a human being. First. Let me tell you why. Because you are going to train other people, youths, who need to also know that as a human being, I'm valuable. I'm not valuable after I become born again. Because you're valuable, the reason why Christ died. He didn't die to make you valuable or to make you important. He died because you are important. First. Right? Let's reverse that a little. Good. So every human being, very valuable. Image of God. Remember I said, when I was talking about the issue with these precepts, the issue of the killing we have in our land is not an issue of violence, it's an issue of lack of value for the image of God. That's the real issue. There's no real value there. Human life is not valued. So let's get back to that. First. Next. When you return home, you have to give evidence that this government is operational. This government that was here all the time, which we read about yesterday. The scripture in Daniel. This stone, which was not made by human hand, shall do what? Crush the other kingdoms. Good. To give evidence, you need to provide some supernatural evidence. Some evidence that we can't calculate. That is where your supernatural gifts come in. Which we call the different things. Right? The gifts of the Spirit. That's different. Your gifts of the Spirit is not eternal. Your natural gift is. Now that's a little scary. But I touched on a great, I was a glad pastor here. Touching on dangerous ground here. Let me tell you why. Your spiritual gifts is just to give evidence. In the new millennium, in the return, what we need is your gift that you were born with. Because you wouldn't need to save anybody. Everybody will be children of God living nice in paradise. But we will need that gift you were created with to do work. That's the master. But because people are not aware of it, you need to be able to speak a particular language. You need to be able to create some miracles. You need to be able to give something, some wonders, something that's, but wait a minute, it's different. When you get that, how come you need to give evidence that there is something else in operation. That is why the spiritual gifts are important. You need to get them. You need to make sure that you know how to function in them. But the reason why I deal with natural gifts first is because people do not know what area I am supposed to give the evidence in. So that when you start working with the supernatural gifts, you know, I am in the right place. Let me deal with it. And they want to know how you deal with that. How you able to correct that. We try not to work for so much hours. And there you are, you're able to now give evidence. This is why I'm able to do so and so. This is why I can get the students to function a particular way. Because you're bringing, as a teacher, you're bringing the spiritual gifts of teaching to do a particular kind of impartation. Right? As a leader or evangelist or whatever it is in that area or administration, whatever the gift is, you are able to do it in a particular way that people want to know, how are you able to do that? In other words, they're questioning because it's not normal. But you are also in your right place. That's why you could do it. Okay, there are times when they call me to fix certain things. And I say, Lord, I never did this one before. So you got to show me what to do. And in 5, 10, 15 minutes, I figure it out. That's the supernatural gift of God revealing to me how to do something in the area that I'm already gifted in. And then give evidence. The reason why I'm able to do this is because I didn't know about it. So I asked God to show me how to do. And he was showing me so. What do you think happens there? People want to know about this God you're talking about. How God can show you that. But the area is, so that's where it fits in. So first, natural. You are a human being. as a child of God. Spirit, yes. Right? And I sure you learned that in Sunday school, right? Now, as a natural person, human being, spirit, you now return home to daddy. Daddy now is able to empower you to, let's go to work. Let's go to work now. Right? Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, the Bible talks about a man's gift will make room for him, right? If for some reason someone doesn't probably discover his gift, but he's praying and he probably in hearing what God is saying, he wants a job, would God direct him into a job where he could discover his gift?
That's a hard question, boy. It's possible, yeah. It's very possible. Yes, it can be.
So then he would be in a career where he is doing his purpose.
Yeah, but remember, I said it can be. I didn't say it will be. You're asking me a hard question there.
Yeah.
God can do that, yes. I don't know what God will do it.
Okay.
Most of the things, what we're realizing is that as we meet with people and so forth, and God starts revealing certain things that we're reading, here's what we're discovering. The issue is not what you have, what you have been given. The issue is, do you know it? The issue is people don't know. That's the most important. So you could be praying in ignorance, but what is nice is that praying and asking God to reveal it, God is really generous. He does it. If you're really serious. Now, there are people who pray, but they pray and restricting God at the same time. In other words, their prayers is they just want to be a person who comes to church and be able to meet the church on time and sit down in the pews and go back home. And they're praying, Lord, let me get to church safe. That's the only, their prayer is just to come to church safe and go to work safe and come back home. Sometimes people pray like that. Their focus is not on doing anything for God. So people could pray and confine God. Right? So that's possible. But the issue is that people are not aware. So the reason for the pastors and the teachers and all the work that you're doing and so forth is just to expose people here happening. All of this in the package. This in the package too. That's all you're doing is just revealing stuff. Not anything new, All you're doing is uncovering. You're just uncovering stuff. That's already there. That's all you're doing to them. You're just telling people, this is also in the package. This is also available, this is available too. Did you see this one? Did you see that down there? That's all you're doing. All the messages and the training and the scripture verses you bring into them, and so all you're doing is revealing stuff that's already there in the package. But people could be closing their minds and don't pray, trying to find out what I need to do for God. So he can, yes. He can lead you, but I don't know if he will, based on how you pray, based on your condition. You could be harboring unforgiveness and trying to get God to answer prayers. All kind of stuff. Right? Because if you're not aware that all these different ailments, as we talked about before, could be hampering your prayer and keeping you guilty. You're trying to get God to be unholy, and, right? But yes, he can. Yes, but there's a system that is set up. Question? Go ahead, Pastor.
Yeah, sorry.
Do we really need, or could you give a scriptural foundation for the quest of the human being to find out what they should be doing for God? Is it that an individual needs to find out what they're doing for God? Or is it that an individual needs to allow God to lead them into what they should be doing in the earth?
Okay. Good question. There are two yes, I agree that an individual needs to allow them God to lead. Here is the problem. The problem is God will not defy his law. He will not defy his law or his principle that he has set up. This law that he set up is let them have dominion. He is not going to lead you where you do not want to go. Because some people want a good career. They're not interested in his purpose. So yes, we're supposed to allow God to lead us. The problem is, if we do not allow him to lead us to where he wants us to go, in terms of his purpose for us, that's a different thing. Because people could be praying for God to lead them, but in their heart, as our friend here was talking about, the reason for the car is because I'm tired. The reason for the car is because I have these children to think. The reason for the car is not the purpose. That's the difference. So the leadership had to do with, where does he want me to go? But because I haven't dealt with the issue of, I forget one day, Matthew 6:25. I'm still frustrated about what to eat, about what to drink. I'm still frustrated about the house. I haven't given thanks for the quicks or for the house that I presently have, even if it's an apartment. Because I'm still worried about, I wonder if. So if that transition hasn't taken place, God wants to lead, but he will not defy his law to let you be able to choose. One thing he will defy is your own choice. He wouldn't tamper with that at all. He's ready to lead, but he will not defy his law, which is, you have to decide if you want this. It's already set, predestined, Romans chapter 8. Your calling is already set. It's already set for you. The good works, Ephesians chapter 2, Ephesians chapter 3, Ephesians chapter 2 verse 10, Ephesians chapter 3 verse 10. The good works are already prepared in Christ. You're created, his handiwork, ready for it. Here's the problem. You have to choose it still. So that's where the difference is. All right? Go ahead.
Excuse me again.
Go ahead. That's it.
And I agree with all of those things. The challenge I'm still having in my mind is, Paul was doing when he was Saul, doing his stuff. He didn't go to God, what is my purpose? He was just doing what he thought was his purpose. God encountered him and sent him in another direction. Jeremiah was who he was and didn't think very much of himself. God encountered him and he's fulfilling his purpose. Daniel is taken away and in Babylon. He didn't go and say, God, well, why you have me here in Babylon? But God directed his life. I'm just trying in terms of all of the examples.
I like that.
It wasn't people stopping and saying, okay, right, I'm here in the earth. Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? But they were living and God was directing. And all that was wired within them from the beginning, God was causing it to be realized in the earth, which to me is right back to the original. This is what your purpose is already written out. Wouldn't God lead you in terms of that? Now, I understand the rebellion. God tells you and you say, well, I don't want to do that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about yieldedness again, a heart of, Lord, let your purpose be fulfilled in my life. Not necessarily, Lord, what is your purpose to be fulfilled in my life? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, actually, I still have a question even to ask God related to that, because even as you were talking about Saul and even people like Jeremiah and different things, their intentions were actually on the right path. But I have a question for God too in that relation, because Hitler's intention was to fulfill God's purpose in his life. If you read his memoirs, if you read his foundational thinking, he believed that there was this thing that he needed to do for God, but the